up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for July 14th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Sunday edition of the podcast coming at you from Ocean City, Maryland. So if you hear the beach in the background or the birds chirping, that is why. But let's start with that Phillies game. Great win, 11-6. Awesome outing by Tyler Phillips. It was really cool to see them interviewing his parents and just hearing more about his story. But 5 strikeouts, 4 earned runs in 6 innings. Got the run support he needed. Just overall, a great day for baseball down at Citizens Bank Park. Trey Turner, Rojas, and Bryce all hit homers. Bryce 2 for 3 with 3 RBI finally. Seems like he's back now after coming back from the hamstring injury. Today they played the last game before the All-Star break. Still not sure who is going to be pitching for the Phillies. Likely a bullpen game. But the Braves lost, so it's a 9.5 game lead. So at worst, they'll have an 8.5 game lead at the All-Star break. But let's get that win today. Sanchez is going to the All-Star game. He's replacing Chris Sale, so that makes 8 Phillies who were All-Stars this year. Just a testament to just how great this season has been. Ranger Suarez is being replaced, though, due to back spasms. Rob Thompson did say it's not necessarily a major concern. Just rest. Doesn't look like he's going to miss his start or go on the IL. But certainly something to kind of keep an eye on there because he's not been sharp his last three starts. JT is trending nicely. Likely won't be back for that first Pittsburgh series, but should be back for late next week for the Minnesota series. So looking good on that front. And then the trade rumors continue to swirl. The ball now is in Dombrowski's court to see what he's going to do. I do think bullpen could be an area where they should look. Because I don't know what's going on with Alvarado, but every time I see him now, I get Mitch Williams vibes. And I don't know if he's tired as well. I really think the All-Star break is coming at the perfect time for the Phillies to kind of get some guys rested up, come back from injuries, and let's start the second half, or the unofficial second half of the season strong. But they look to take that series today against the A's in what appears to be a bullpen game. Don't want to get caught looking ahead to your vacation, so hopefully they're able to take 2 of 3. Hopefully the Padres do what they need to do, and we can go in with a double-digit lead at the All-Star break. All right, be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. They now have their baseball episodes coming out. The first one was posted yesterday. I have not watched the whole thing yet, but good group of guys. They're doing good things over there. So go check out the Clashing Conferences podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And then go to Philly Goat. I've been talking about the Crook. Taryn Hatcher was wearing her John Crook is My Spirit Animal shirt from Philly Goat. 10% of those sales benefit the Battle Brothers Foundation. They do awesome things for our vets. So go to phillygoat.com. Check out their selection of everything. But that John Crook shirt, 10% will benefit the Battle Brothers Foundation. And be sure while you're there, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. You get 10% off, and then it helps the podcast out as well. So go to phillygoat.com, use that promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. All right, the Union lost again, and it is their last game before the League Cup starts on July 27th. They are currently in last place in the MLS, and they are slowly spiraling out of control. Sixers had a good showing at Summer League last night. Ricky Council had 24 points. And the more I watch him, the more I think he's going to be able to put in some meaningful minutes this year. Jarrett McCain is still struggling to hit his shots. He's getting them, though. So I think just getting adjusted to the NBA game and what he has going on, I think he'll be all right because he's getting the shots. They're just not falling down for him. Hopefully by the time more of these Summer League games come in, those shots will continue to fall. But another good showing by Ricky Council in the Vegas Summer League. They're off today, and then they will play tomorrow. Less than 10 days before Eagles training camp. I cannot wait. This might be one of the most anticipated seasons for the Eagles in a while. They get started a week from this Tuesday. Okay, today we're going to go back to 1968. And on this day in 1968, Phillies beat the Mets in both games of a doubleheader up in Shea Stadium, extended their winning streak to 6 games. Game 1, Rick Wise pitched a complete game with 8 strikeouts. Dick Allen went 2 for 4 with a homer and a double and 3 RBI. Game 2, 9-2. Grant Jackson pitched a complete game for the Phillies. So doubleheader, they used 2 pitchers the entire day. He had 13 strikeouts against the Mets. Dick Allen went 1 for 3 in that game with a homer and 3 RBI. Also had a sacrifice fly. First baseman John Briggs had 2 home runs in that game as well. And that was Jackson's first career complete game. He would go on to have 16 in his career, including 13 in 1969. So had that one great year in 69, but the Phillies that year ended up 76 and 86 in 8th place in the National League. But for a day anyway, in 1968, they beat the Mets. Both games of doubleheader, both pitchers, Rick Wise and Grant Jackson, both went complete games for the Phillies that day. All right, it is time for the Ultimate Philly Sports Nickname Tournament. Let's go back to yesterday's matchups. And yesterday in the Schuylkill region, no surprise here, Dr. J beat Dirty Waters with 73% of the vote. And then in the Balboa region, in a close one, Weapon X knocked off the Hammer with 58% of the vote. Both of them are going to the Sweet 16. But today we have 2 great matchups. First, out of the Cheesesteak region, the number 2 seed, the Legion of Doom, takes on the number 7 seed, Hound Dog Bob Kelly, in a battle of flyers. The Legion of Doom, nickname in part from the Road Warriors from the old school WWE, but that was John LeClaire, Eric Lindros, and Mikael Renberg. All 3 of these dudes were 6'2", 230 or bigger. Jim Montgomery, no relation, gave them the name, and then Gene Hart helped to make it more popular. They replaced the Crazy 8 Lines, who we talked about last week. In 3 years, they had 305 goals, 361 assists, added another 56 goals and 74 assists in the playoffs. And Lindros had, I believe it was his career high, 115 points in that 95-96 season. And then they were broken up when Mikael Renberg was traded for Chris Gratton after that Stanley Cup disaster, when Scotty Bowman did a little bit of a finesse faster lineup to neutralize them. Lindros and LeClaire spent 3 more years together on the same line. But the Legion of Doom is our 2 seed out of the Cheesesteak region. And then our 7 seed, Hound Dog Bob Kelly. He was known for his aggressive play, which everybody on that Broad Street Bullies team was known for being aggressive. His original name was Mad Dog, given to him by Joe Watson, because he plays like a mad dog. But then they started working with kids, and it was too intimidating, so they switched it to Hound Dog. But 10 years, 2 cups, 128 goals, 168 assists. He scored the game-winning goal for the 75 Stanley Cup. And he was another one of those guys, like yesterday we talked about Dave the Hammer Schultz. He was good offensively, despite the fact he had the reputation for being a bruiser. So our matchup in the Cheesesteak region, the Legion of Doom takes on the Hound Dog Bob Kelly. Get your votes in, 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. You can hit me up on my social media as well, Jimbo_Mott on Twitter and TikTok. And then Instagram at PhillyJimbo. Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you got to do to get that vote in. But out of the Cheesesteak region, the 2 seed takes on the 7 seed, the Legion of Doom versus Hound Dog. And I apologize for the bug that just flew on my hat. And I also apologize if I'm sweating a little bit. It's getting a little warm out here. All right, and then on our other matchup, the Ben Franklin region, the 3 seed, the Big Piece, takes on the number 6 seed, Smokin Joe. Ryan Howard got his name from Charlie Manuel, team first guy. He was a big piece to that team, big piece to their success. He was the fastest to 100 and 200 home runs. But I think with Ryan Howard, you got to take that 6-year stretch from 2006 to 2011. Hit 273, 43.5 home runs, and 132.6 RBI he averaged. added almost 28 doubles. That was like a historic pace before that Achilles injury, and then he just was never the same after that. A lot of people will remember him for that contract that Ruben Amaro gave him and just not living up to it after the injury. But prior to the injury, the dude was just on a Ruthian pace. He is number 2 all time for the Phillies in home runs, number 3 in RBI, and for my money, he is the most underrated and underappreciated Philadelphia athlete of all time. And you guys all know how I feel about Donovan McNabb, and I think he's even more underrated and underappreciated than Donovan. He's taken on Smokin' Joe Frazier, and his trainer gave him that nickname because he's like, I want to see you throw your fist so fast that the smoke comes off of your gloves. He was the former heavyweight champion, 32-4-1-1 with 27 knockouts. His only losses came to George Foreman and Muhammad Ali, so not bad if those were the only 2 guys you ever lost to. And he did beat Ali once. The draw came against Floyd Cummings. Smokin' Joe is the 1964 Olympic gold medalist. He had Joe Frazier's gym there on North Broad. Did have some media appearances as well. He was on The Simpsons a couple times. He was on Celebrity Apprentice. He did make an appearance in the original Rocky. He has his statue outside of Xfinity Live, and did have an R&B career. Had a group, Joe Frazier and the Knockouts. Not very good. If you listen to it, look up Joe Frazier and the Knockouts. It sounds exactly how you think it would. Definitely not Pieces of a Dream, Faux Five Faux, but he did have a little bit of a singing career and did release an album. He is the greatest heavyweight to ever come out of Philadelphia, probably the number 2 all-time boxer in Philadelphia behind Bernard Hopkins. But again, it is your turn now. Who wins? Who is the better Philly sports nickname? Is it the Big Piece, Ryan Howard? Is it Smokin' Joe Frazier? Get your votes in 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. You can hit me up on the socials as well. However you got, but get those votes in. So today, out of the Cheesesteak region, we have the number 2 seed, the Legion of Doom, taking on the 7 seed Hound Dog. We have the number 3 seed, the Big Piece, taking on the number 6 seed Smokin' Joe out of the Ben Franklin region, with a spot for the Sweet 16 on the line. So get those votes in. On this day in 1968, Phils beat the Mets on 2 games of a doubleheader up in Chase Stadium. Rick Wise and Grant Jackson, the pitchers for the Phillies that day, both pitched complete games, so gave the bullpen a nice day off up in New York. Dick Allen had 3 RBI in each game, and John Briggs hit 2 home runs in the second game of that. Hopefully the Phils close it out nicely for the All-Star break. We will be having some shorter podcasts until the All-Star break ends, just because there won't be as much to talk about, but that's okay. We can focus on the nickname tournament. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences. Again, I apologize for the noise. I apologize for sweating. I did not expect it to be this hot when I started recording. But let's go Phils. Get that win today. Let's go Padres. Give us a 10.5 game lead going into the break. But whatever the weather, it's supposed to be hot up in Philly. It's supposed to be hot and beautiful down here. So get out and enjoy your Sunday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 14th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.